welcome back to my channel. Thank you for watching. Much appreciated. This is Basic Coding with Adam, and I'd like to take you through different aspects of web development from a full stack developer point of view, and sort of give you the basics on all different types of programming technology and languages. So if that sounds good, please subscribe. I would appreciate it. And if you find this video at all helpful, please leave a like below. Also, if you have any suggestions for future videos, please leave them in the comments below. I usually read them pretty much every day. Also, I have a website where I sell pre-built templates, pre-built boilerplates, a full stack web app, all the code. You can totally customize it, but it's already pre-built for you. Or if you just want to see how it looks or how it's supposed to look in the end, I've got just the back end, I've got the front end and the back end, I've got the front and back end with Redux. All the ones that I sell are made with the MERN stack. The website is adamdesign.digital, and I'll leave that in the comments below. All right, so with that out of the way, today, guys, what we're going to be looking at is Expressjs, as you see by the website here. And this is their website. They also have a GitHub repo that you can go to. But this is their main website, expressjs.com. And so this is it. It's got a lot of good documentation. Pretty easy to follow. As you can see here, it gives you a very basic example, and I'm going to go over everything in this basic example, and then we're going to add on to it, obviously. But it's got a lot of, it's pretty easy to understand. But if you're a straight up beginner with no experience using Express, it might be a little confusing. So that's why I'm here. So we're going to go through a decent amount of the Expressjs aspects. So basically, Expressjs is a framework that goes on the back end that works with Node.js. As you can see right here, Express is a minimal and flexible Node.js web application framework that provides a robust set of features for web and mobile applications. What does that mean? Now, if you've ever created a server with raw Node.js, you know that there is a ton of code. We have to set the content type. We have to parse the Json data if that's what we're working with. There's a whole bunch of stuff, and not to mention even more stuff when we try to connect to a database like MongoDB Atlas. So what Express does, it just makes that a lot easier and a lot more streamlined, as you'll see. So this is expressjs.com, so you can go there. But what we need first is, you might have guessed it, is Node.js in order to install Express and also to use Express. And so go here, nodejs.org, and you can download the latest stable version, which as of now is 14.6. And along with Node, you get NPM, Node Package Manager. Show you here. npmjs.com. So NPM comes with Node automatically. So once you install Node on your system, you'll have NPM. And that's how we install different libraries. Okay. All right. So let's get started. I'm on Windows, so I'm going to use a command prompt. And so once I have Node.js installed, I'm going to type npm init. And then I guess I will give it a folder name. We're going to say Express app. And it's going to give us some questions. No, let me go and stop that. Hold on. Sorry, guys. So I'm going to make dir express dash app. And then I'm going to cd into it express dash app. Let me zoom in so you guys can see. Okay. So express.app. So now, I'm sorry. So now I'm going to do npm init, and it's just going to ask us some questions. Okay. So down here you could see package name express app. That's fine. Version 1.0, which is fine. Let me back up. Description, you could type something, I'm not. Entry point. So this is our main file. I'm going to go with server.js just because that's what I normally do, and it's pretty much a industry standard. Test command, you don't need that. Git repo, don't worry. Keywords, no. Author, you can type your name. License, I'll just leave it as ISC. And then it come down here, and yes. Okay, now I'm going to type code period to open it up in VS Code, which I have installed. I suggest you use that, especially for MERN stack applications. I prefer Visual Studio Code. If I'm doing more standard HTML, CSS, and PHP type stuff, I prefer to use Atom Text Editor, but the choice is up to you. Now, let's take a look. We got our package.json file. Pretty standard if you've worked with Node in the back end before. So, excuse me, so our main file is right here, but first I'm going to come up here and I'm going to open a terminal, which is a nice thing about uh, VS Code. You can have a terminal right in here. And I'm going to, can I zoom in? No. Okay, so we have our Express app. I am going to do npm I. It could be install or just I Express. And I think that's all I need. Yeah, let's just do that. Let's just keep it simple. I'm not going to use anything else. I'm not going to confuse you with anything else. We're just going to do straight up basic Express situations that we can do just to get you going. Okay, good. Good. So as you can see, we now have Express and we have our node modules installed. I'm also, well, one more thing I am going to add, but it's not nothing that we have to code, but it does help. npm I. So this is called Nodemon. Basically, it automatically reloads our server every time we save. Because if you didn't use Nodemon and you just use straight up Node, you'd have to stop your server, save your changes, and then restart your server. This just allows us to save and it automatically updates, so it's really nice. However, we do not need Nodemon if we were to put this app into production, which we're not, but if we were, we wouldn't want to have Nodemon in our main packages. So we're going to install it as a dev dependency, which is symbolized by this dash uppercase D, Nodemon. Let me just give a second for that to install. Nodemon is super helpful when you're, I wouldn't, I wouldn't build a Node or Express app without it. It's just so convenient. Great. Okay, and you can see we have our regular dependencies, which is just Express for now, and then we have our dev dependencies, which is Nodemon. Now, let's do this. We're going to add a script. We're still in our package.json file. I'm going to add a script. This is JSON, so it's got to be double quotes. I'm going to say start. That's going to be the command, colon, outside, and then another set of quotes. I'm going to say node server.js. Now, this would be for production, okay? Because once you start your node server in production, you wouldn't really need to shut it down. And if you did need to shut it down, it wouldn't be a big deal to start it back up. This is just because we're going to be doing a lot of saving and saving and relaunching. So for dev, we're going to type nodemon server. and I'll show you how that works in a little bit. I'll remind you, I'll come back to that. So I'm going to close this. We're done with that. Now, let's create our main entry point, which was that server.js we've been talking so much about. Now, as you know, our package.json contains Express. I'll show you. In our node modules, goes by alphabetical order, thank God. Where are we? EX, here's our Express folder. In our library, it has middleware. Feel free to look at these. It has our index.js. These are all the things that it brings in. Let's see, let's say you do not need to touch these folders. I just wanted to show you where it's at. Close that. You can see it's got application.js. It's got a ton of stuff that the creators of Express, their logic that they came up with. As you can see, they use body parser, which means that we don't have to import body parser. We don't have to install body parser because it now comes with Express, and I'll show you what I mean later on. So a ton of stuff. I mean, unless you're advanced backend development, you really don't have to worry about this. I just wanted to show you where it's at. Okay. So listen, let's build our first Express server. Okay, through Node. Now, for those of you unfamiliar what a server is, basically it's the go-between. So you have a database where information is stored, okay, like the bank. Then you have a client, which is the front end, the website, which is like the customer of the bank. The customer comes to the clerk of the bank and says, I want to withdraw $10 out of my account. The clerk looks up your account and says, okay, yes, you've got $10 in your account. I can give you $10 out of your account. The clerk then goes to the database, aka the bank vault, takes out $10, brings it back to you, and gives it to you. So that's what a server does. The server is the clerk at the bank. The server gets an order from the client or the customer, goes to the bank, aka the database, gets what the customer asked for, and brings it back to the customer. That's what a server does. It goes back and forth between the customer and the bank vault or the database. Okay, so that's what it does, and that's the that is it. Model View Controller, MVC. So that would be the controller. Okay, so it goes back and forth and it gets the information that it's requested of. And actually that makes sense because each of our Express routes has a request and a response uh, attribute. So the customer has a request that he gives to the server, aka the clerk, and then the clerk does what the client asks for and then gives a response. And that's all we're going to be doing. Okay, so let's get this started. Enough of my brilliant analogies. Let's get this started. So first thing we need to do is use straight JS or straight JavaScript, which is in this fashion. So we're going to create a variable. It's going to equal require parentheses, quotes, express. That's it. We've just brought in express. Now we can use this express variable in a couple of different ways, but the most standard way you're going to run into it is to then create a second variable called app, usually, not always, it could be whatever you want. And we're going to set app to express an express function, which is this up here. We're just calling the function and storing it as app. Okay. Next, actually, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to call app, which is this. And then Express has a method called listen, which gives parentheses. Okay. This is to listen for our server. Okay. So now the server has to run on a port. Now it's got to be a number, can't be a string. It's got to be a number, and usually it's in the 1,000 range. A standard port number is 5,000. Okay, so that's our port number. Now, app.listen or .listen method also takes in a callback, which I'm going to use an arrow function. You could do, oops, you can do a function like this, but I am just going to do an arrow function because that's what I prefer. Do whatever you like here. And we're going to do console .log, and we're going to log a message. We're going to say server is running. Okay. Now that is technically our server, a very basic server, but that's all you have to do to get a server up and running with Express. Those 3 lines of code. Okay. Now we're going to add more to it, of course, but this is basically it. Okay. Now let's remember the script that we wrote in here. This dev, right? This is from npm. So we're going to come to our terminal. I'm going to clear this out. And I'm going to type npm run dev, which is that script. So run the dev script. Let's see what we get. It's running. Nodemon server is running. So we have an actual live real deal server. Okay? That's it. Simple as that. Now, of course, we're going to add on to that. Now, normally here, when you wanted to make changes, you'd have to stop your server, make your changes, save it, and then come back here and rerun it. But since we have Nodemon, we don't have to worry about that. I'm just going to leave this the way it is. First thing I'd like to do is create another const or another variable, and I'll call this port, and it's going to equal something. We're going to say 5,000. Okay, so then we can change this. Just makes it a little bit neater. Okay, and as you can see, Nodemon watches for the changes and restarts, and we got server running. Now, one thing that I do, and I suggest you do, is if you were to launch this application, now you wouldn't because it doesn't really do anything, but if you were to create an entire application with Node.js and Express and whatever else, when you deploy this app to Heroku or Google Cloud Service, whatever, chances are it's not going to run it on port 5,000. It could be, who knows what it could be. It sometimes they randomly assign it, but so what I like to do is instead of just 5,000, I'm going to put process.env for environment variable .port in all caps, or 5,000. So that's double pipe characters, the shift and straight line above your enter key. Okay, so when app.listen is called, it's going to look for the port variable. It's going to say, okay, it's not a, there is no environment variable that's named port, so I'm going to choose 5,000. Let's save, and we get server running. And I'll add a couple exclamation points. Server running. Now, in here, what I usually do, you don't have to do this, but it's a good idea. I'm going to add backticks, which is that little notch mark next to your 1 button on your keyboard. I'm going to say server is running on port colon, and then I'm going to put $ and opening and closing curly braces, and I'm going to put our port variable. Okay, so whatever this runs on, whether it's the environment variable or our static port of 5,000. Let's see. There we go. Server is running on port 5,000, which of course it is. And if we change this to 5,001, I think you get the idea. 5,001. I'm going to change it back to 5,000. Okay, so that is our basic server. Now we could do a lot of different things here. We can use socket.io to create a chat app to watch for live updates. Or you can do what we're going to work on, which is uh, send JSON data back and forth, like from an API. Okay. But there's some other things you can do where you basically, you can use this, whoops, sorry guys. You can use this as a way to serve up HTML files. So if you had a static folder, let's create a folder. We'll call it public. Okay. And inside of public, I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call it index.html, of course, because that's automatically loaded. Here, I'm going to, since I'm in VS Code, I'm going to hold tab and type HTML and then hit enter. What the? Sorry, I don't know why that's not working. Tab HTML. No, that's not, why is it not working? I should be getting a boilerplate. Tab HTML. Okay. Now let's save all. Let's do tab HTML. Whoops. Tab, hold tab HTML. Oh, what the heck? It's not working. Emmet is not working. What the heck is it? Sorry guys. What the heck? It's not, no, it's not that. Oh, what the, I don't know. Sorry guys. I'm sorry guys. It's not working. I forget what the heck it is. It's doc type and then just look up. See? I'm a full stack developer and I still have to look up a basic HTML5 boilerplate. No shame in that, guys. Here we go. I'm going to delete this. We don't need that. Anyway, here's our basic boilerplate. Actually, I'll leave this for now. I'm just going to change this to styles.css. Don't worry, we're not going to type any CSS, or you don't have to worry about it. It's just an example to show you. Don't worry about that. So in the body, I'm just going to give an H4. I'm going to say Expressjs Crash Course. Okay, I'm going to save that, save all. And inside this public, I'm also going to create a file, styles.css. Okay, and I'm also going to create a second HTML file, copy. I'm going to create another one just to show you an example. We're going to call this about.html. Okay, and I'm going to post my HTML boilerplate in here, and we're going to say /about, and I'm going to say, delete this. I'm going to say about page. Don't worry, you'll see where I'm going with this in a second. Okay, so close this. This, I'm just going to say body, which encompasses the whole body. I'm going to say background color. We'll say 333, which is a dark gray, and we're going to say the color of the text is going to be FFF, which is white, just a plain white. Just so you can see, don't worry, you don't have to know any CSS. It's just so ignoring this. So the public folder contains our actual website. This is what clients are going to see, index and HTML. Okay, so what you can do is serve up a static folder, right? You can create a website with Bootstrap or just index.html and CSS, and then you can use Express to serve up your website. All right, so let's do that. We're going to take our app variable because that's how we're going to use Express from now on, or at least until later. And we're going to say express.use. Okay, now one thing I forgot to do that we need to do, I need to bring something in, and it's the path module, which is a core Node.js module. It comes already with Node.js. You don't need to install it. It comes with it. I'm going to set that to require. What the heck is it? It's just path. Okay, we're going to say app.use. Now, we're going to say express.static. Okay, excuse me. And then inside here, we're going to use the path module to find the directory name of where our static folder is that we want to serve up. Okay, so let's do that. So we're going to say path.join. Okay, and we're going to open parentheses. Now in the path module, we'll do underscore dir name for directory name, comma, and then we're going to say the public folder, public. And you can call this folder whatever you want, client, front end, I don't, whatever, it doesn't matter. Save all, and I think that should work. Let's try. So in order to go there, we go localhost port 5000, and there we go. Our Expressjs Crash Course. We served up our HTML. Let's go to /about.html, and there we go. We got our about page. Okay, so you can use Express to serve up HTML. I'm going to minimize that, and that's how you do it. I'm trying to zoom in here, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know why I can't. Huh, not letting me. It did before. I don't know why it's not letting me now. I'm sorry, guys. Hopefully you can see. Let me close this a little bit. Close this. I hope you can see. I was trying to zoom in, but it won't let me for some reason. I don't know if that's. It's got to be. Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be VS Code is not letting me do it. Okay, let's close this for now. So that's how we serve up static folders. There is a way to serve up just a single page, but you're not really going to use that, and I don't want to waste your time. So now, the main thing that we do, especially with CRUD applications, create, read, update, and delete applications, i.e. the user submits a form, the data gets stored in a database, and also then displayed in the app somewhere, like say on React or vanilla JavaScript, etc. Excuse me, on the front end. Okay, so let me. I guess we can leave this. Tell you what, I'll comment it out just so you guys have it. Let's see. We'll say serve up static HTML and CSS files. I'll try to remember to upload everything I got in here to my GitHub, which I will link in the description. If I forget, please remind me. I'm not doing it on purpose, I just forget. Okay, so let's do something else. Let's get into basically the main purpose of what Expressjs is meant for. One thing we have to do though is we have to set our JSON data in order for Express to process JSON data. So we set it one time and then the whole app uses it, or the whole program uses it, okay? As opposed to regular Node servers where you have to specify in your content type every single route. Here we don't have to do that. Okay, so we're going to do app.use again, because this is how we use middleware, excuse me, which is what this is. And we're going to say express.json function, or method, I should say. Okay, and then for the, whoops, what did I do there? For the, what did I do? Oh, I did. Okay, I deleted. Sorry. So for the URL, for it to read URLs, we have to do again app.use, and then we have to do express.url encoded, VS Code suggests it to us. Okay, and then we're going to set extended to true. I forget the reasoning behind that, but that's just what you got to do. Okay, now let's create our first route. What is a route? It's basically a URL where a client goes to in order to get information, like an API. So we're creating our own API right now. Okay, so that starts by using, again, app. Now we're creating a get route. Okay, so we're going to get information, and you'll see the rest of the routes later on. So there you go, app.get. That's it. Now let's create just a dummy route, a fake route, but an API. So we're going to do quotes slash API slash we'll say hello. Okay, comma. Now we always have to have a request and response, just like in promises, because this is promise based. There's a route. Now, what do we want to do with this route? Well, first let's go to our API. This is now our API. Localhost, as you can see, it's already in there. Port 5000, right? And what was that route that we created? Slash API slash hello. There you go. Cannot get app slash hello, right? Oh, I didn't save. That's why. Gotta save. Okay, reload. All right, whatever. Dipshit. No, I'm just kidding. All right, well let's do something. Let's say console.log. Oops, no, actually, sorry. Let's use our response, which is this. So remember what I said? The user makes a request or sends a request to the server, aka the bank clerk, and then the bank clerk comes back with a response. So let's do res.send a message. Hello from Express. Should be good there. Server is running. That's how you know we're good. And there you go. Hello from Express. So you have to actually put something in the route. Otherwise, it'll error out. Now, just sending, I mean, you can even put HTML in here if you want. Actually, it's JSX, but it looks like HTML, obviously. Slash H1. Save again. Cool. Reload. And there you go. H1. Cool. I know, mind-blowing, right? Okay, so, I mean, res.send, you don't do that too much. It's not really something you do. It's more for sending data. Request, or either requesting to do something, like create a post or update something, or you're sending data to whatever client asks for it. Now, of course, we don't have to specify the client. The client, aka the front end or the customer, knows what they want. They just have to know where to get it. They have to know where the bank is to drive to it to ask for it. So let's do this. I'm going to, in the main folder, I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call this what should we do? Let's do post.js. Okay, and I'm going to go to our tried and true JSON type B, whoops, what is it? Type B code, JSON type B code, which technically is a fake API, like we're setting up here, but I'm just going to copy some of their data. I'm going to get 5 posts here, okay? And I'm just going to create some dummy data in a separate file. It's going to be an array. Oops. Let me close off that array. So, should this be JSON? Oh, yes, it should be. My apologies. Let me copy this. I'm sorry, guys. close, don't save. My apologies, guys. Let me delete this. I'm going to create another file, again, call it post.json. So this is going to be a JSON file. And we're good. There we go. That's better. Okay, save all. So this is just going to be our dummy data that we're gonna serve up. Okay. Now, up here, I'm going to bring it in, const members, which is normally how you do it, equals required. What did I say? It was required dot slash post.json. Okay. Now, let's do res.json. Oops, members. Okay. Let's see what that gives us. We should be good. I always get nervous when it lags like that. Okay, let's close this. We don't need that anymore. There we go. There's our JSON data. Now, something else we can use in order to test our routes is something called Postman. Now, I already have it installed, but this is where you get it. Postman.com. Looks like this at the time of the recording. It's totally free. You just download it and install it, and then you can use it. I have it already installed, so I'm going to open it up. Usually takes a second. And it's basically a way to test routes without having a front end. Okay, so it's pretty cool. Works easily. You can do a lot of things with it, but we're only going to use it for this simple thing. As you can see, I've already done it. So we're going to come up here, hit the plus button, and we're going to make a get request. You can do post, put, patch, delete, a bunch of other. I only use the CRUD get, post, put, patch, which are the same thing. Put and patch are kind of similar. Delete. So we're going to make a get request to http, not y, / localhost port 5000 / API. What was that? Oh, let's change that. So I'm going to change this to posts. And I don't know why I called this members. I was doing something earlier. All right, so I'm just changing the name of this because these are posts. My bad, guys. Posts. Okay, so I just changed the members to posts. That's all. Okay, now, so API, did I change that? Yes, posts. So let's go here /API /posts. Let's see what we get. And there we go. There's our JSON data. Okay. So this is just a good way to test it. As you can see, if we just did our main thing, we would get an error because there's no route for that. /API /posts. And there's our get request. Okay. And there you go. That's how you get information, right? So our front end, aka Postman, is getting that information. Okay. Now let's get real here. Let's get real deal dog. Okay, so typically if we had another app, I'm sorry, another route, let's say, whoops, what the heck is going on here? Sorry, guys. So if we had another route, app.post, create a post route now, /API /posts. Again, our request and response. By the way, always put request first and then response, otherwise you'll get an error, I think. As you can see, our server.js file gets a little crowded, and you want to keep this as simple as possible. So instead of doing that, let's put it in a separate file. So what I like to do is create a folder in the main folder in our Express app folder, create a folder called routes. Then inside of that, I'm going to create another folder called API because you could have different routes, but we're creating APIs. Then inside of API, I'm going to create a file we'll call it post since that's what it is. Okay. And so we need to do, so we're going to create all of our routes in here and then bring them into our main JS folder. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. Actually, I'm going to grab these while I'm here. Okay. And as you can see, it just cleans it up a little bit. And I'm going to put those in here for now. It won't work just yet, so bear with me. I'm also going to take this this here and bring it into our post. Let me close that. Our post file. Now keep in mind we have to change this. We have to go // into and then get the where is it? And then post.json. So we go out of the API folder, out of the routes folder, and then we're in the main folder, and then we get our post.json. Now we have to do a couple of other things to set up. We need to first to bring in express equals require express. So we got to do it for both terms. So we brought express in our server app to use it as app so we can use all these. And we're going to create a few more app.uses, so you'll see. But in here, we need to bring in express so that we can get the router, because that's what we're creating. We're creating routes in a separate file, and then we're exporting them into our main server.js. It's just common standard practice that you should probably use. So I'm going to create a const, and I'm going to call this router, and it's going to be equal to express.router method. Okay, uppercase router. Let's come down here before we forget, and we'll do module.exports equals router, comma, and we have to change these because these are now router. Let's see. Oh, and then of course, so now we have our routes, our basic routes. Now we have to come in here and we have to add some more middleware, which is our router. So this is technically middleware, except it's our routes. Okay, so I'm just going to do this. This is probably the easiest way. App.use again. Okay, and we're going to give it our main route. So API/posts, comma, and we're going to require quotes // go into routes/API/posts. That's it. Oh, and then we had to change here. So because I'm going to delete those. So in our router file or in our post.js file, we just need a slash because here's where we set our main route. You don't have to put API/post in all these. You just put it one time in your main server.js file and that's what it uses. Let's save this and see what we get. Okay, looks good. Let's go back to Postman and send another GET request since that's what we got. And there we go. We get our information. Let's see. Now we can do a few things. We can do res.status. Res.status with parentheses. And we could say 200, which is a HTTP response code, which is what you saw already, but we can manually set it. Let's see. Oh, go back to Postman. As you can see, Postman gives you the status, and it gives a status of OK. Let's try a little experiment. So let's set this to a variable. Let results equal res.status. Okay. Let's see. Then we'll say if not results. We'll say res dot status for, I think it's 404, 400. It just means not found. I think that's right. Cool. There we go. We get our results because, of course, everything works. Now, let's say we were to, I'm just going to delete this S so it breaks this, so that this, see, it's supposed to be post, but I just made it post. It might actually not allow me to do that. Wait, let's see. Okay, yeah, we get a 500. Okay. What can we do? All right, well, anyway, you get the point. You can check. All right, so let's delete this. So we give our status. So that's the get. Now, let's take a look at, so that's get. Don't worry about that. Let me resave it. Save all. Now, we talked a lot about our response. So the response that the server sends. Let's talk about a request, something that the user or the client or the customer at the bank can request. They send in a request, right? Just like when you type in a URL like google.com and you hit enter, that's a request to a server, okay? But you can also send information as a request, okay? Which is stored in the body. Now, which we can get to by request.body. So let's see. We could say, what should we do? Let's destructure. Let's create a constant or a variable, and we'll say title. Oops, title and body. So we're destructuring, and that's going to equal request.body. Now, this is a little bit easier. You could also do const title equals request.body.title. Then you can do const body equals request.body.body. Don't worry, that won't error. And let's just console.log that for now. Or let's res.json title. Actually, this should be curly braces. Title and body. So we're going to send a title and body, and we're going to receive a title and body if it's okay. And then we'll give a status of, say, 200. Everything went okay, and dot. Okay. Save all. Hopefully that works. I don't know if it will or not. I forget. Let's go here. Now let's change this to a post request, because that's what it's going to be, to the exact same URL. You don't have to change that, but we do have to change one thing. Our header, we just need to make sure, where is it? Where are we? It's not here. Anyway, you don't have to change that. So in our body now, we want to select raw, and we're going to select JSON. Mind you, this is specifically for Postman. And we're going to create a title. We're going to call this title new, comma. This is valid JSON. And there's JSON validators online. Body new. And let's send that. There we go. And you get our response. 200 response, and here's our JSON of what we sent, the title and the body. Because we sent the request, which was the title and the body, which was this. Okay, we sent that to our route, and then our route does this, gives us this response, which is basically just giving our information back to us. So let's delete all this and destructure. Call this title, obviously, and body equals request dot body, which looks a little neater, and we'll get the same thing. Save all. Postman. Let's just I'll just add a few things on here, a couple exclamation points just to show you that it's different. And we're going to send another post request, and there we go. It still works. Now let's see. You could do something like this. You could say, you could say, we'll say post dot push, and let's do this. Let's create a variable const new post will equal a new object, and we'll say title. Now normally you would put title, the name of the key, and then you would put a string or a number, but we want to put what the user or what the customer sends to us. So we're going to put title like that. So title is going to equal title, and since this is JSX, I'm sorry, not JSX, ES6, you could just do title and then body. Okay, and now we're going to push. We're going to push to our post, which this just adds on to an array. We're going to push to our post our new post, and then let's save this to a variable. Let what should we call this? Sent, I guess. I don't know. Let's sent equal push. Sent equal push. So, and then we'll say res. Let's do if sent is successful. We want to do. We don't want to res dot status of 200, and then send back our JSON of sent. I think that should work. Going into a little bit here, but just to give you an idea of how this works. So let's change this. Let's change this to new post 2. Here we go. Body new 2. There we go. 6. Gave us 6. Oh, okay, because it's giving us the number. Now let's do a GET request. I don't know if it'll save it. Let's see. Post is not defined. Oh, I'm sorry, guys, because I never changed it back from when we were fooling around. So let's do post, save all. Let's do a GET request, and there we go. Let's see if it's saved our. Let's see. We got a res.status, json.send, and then this has to be, I'm sorry, our posts array up here that we're bringing in. Because once we add our new post, I think. Now keep in mind we're not saving to a database or anything, so once you refresh, everything is gone. So let's do a post method to the same URL with our title and body new 2. And it should give us back, there we go. Now I didn't give an ID, but you get the idea. And that's how you would save it. I mean, you would do .save or whatever. So that's a post request. The rest are pretty self-explanatory, to be honest with you guys. Okay, guys. So to talk about middleware, or basically some other form of what the heck? Yeah. Oh, sorry, I made that. So to use some form of middleware like authentication or whatever, we're just going to create a separate file in users. Now, normally you would create a route that your front end goes to authenticate the user, meaning check if that user and password is correct, and then you would pass it to here. So let's just create a function. Call that const login equals a function, arrow function, ES6 baby. And we're going to console.log. Oh, what the heck? Sorry about that, guys. Console.log user auth. We'll just type a message. Now, this function can take in a request, a response, and you always want to call next, because basically what happens is this function is fired off, and then it goes immediately to the next one. Okay, so let's do that here. Next, next function. And let's also do, what can we get? We can do, let's just throw in user auth. Let's do this. Backticks, user auth from, from request dot get. Request.get.user request.get, and we'll get the host just so I can show you. Okay. Okay, guys. So we created our login function. Let's module.exports equals login. Oh, excuse me. Now I also added up here an app variable. So let's do app.use login so we can use that middleware. Let's bring in the middleware. Const login to create it equals require. Where am I? So parentheses dot slash users. There we go. And now we're going to attach it to this route. Login, comma. So when we make a GET request, this login middleware will also function. Oh, oops. Sorry, it should be a semicolon. Let's see if that works. Okay. Let's make a GET request. Sorry. To our post route. And there you go. There's our response. And in our terminal, we get our user auth from localhost, which is this response right here. Okay. And, I mean, that's it. So that's essentially creating your own middleware, and you can do anything you want here. You can create a route stored as a function. Always remember to call next after your request and response, because this fires, and then you want the next thing to fire. Listen, guys, I hope that was helpful in some way for a basic Expressjs crash course. I hope it was helpful. If it was, please leave a like below and consider subscribing. I would appreciate it. And also, if you have any follow-up questions or you want to see something else, please feel free to leave a comment below, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Listen, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you, and please take care of yourselves and each other.